Okay, test subject 319. Joseph Allen. Draw a clock for us, please.
Yeah. Also, it's a little more faded every year. And the last time I took it, you couldn't even see where to put your name or the date, but I just knew where it was supposed to go. So I filled it in, even though.
Okay, next
Yeah,
question. Identify this animal.
it's a giraffe. I haven't seen it yet. Was it a giraffe? Was I right?
I don't know. I don't. I don't take these weird sciencey tests. These highfalutin tests every year.
There's not a lot of science involved, I think.
You're just like, I can't tell if it's an elephant or a bear with a fish in his mouth.
And so the photocopy has been degraded so bad. You don't know what it is anymore. What is this?
Okay, next
Could be a woolly
question.
mammoth. Yeah.
Please say these 5 words in order.
Man, woman, television, camera. What was the last one?
No, it
I failed the
was
test already.
these 5 words in order. But okay, next question. Draw a clock again.
Fail.
A digital clock this time.
Digital clock. Just
No, wait.
time
No,
of
fuck
my
it.
choosing.
Fuck it. Draw a sundial.
I can pick whatever time. I can shade that in myself. I can just pick like 3:15 or 6:25.
Well,
It's
that's
dealer's
the
choice.
That's the next question. First question
What time do you think it is?
is draw a
What time
sundial.
do you think it is?
No, it's draw a sundial. And the next question is, okay,
I failed again.
now draw the current time.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, but it's nighttime. I can't draw the current time on a sundial.
The sundial sucks. Actually, it's working exactly as it's supposed to, which is not at all at night, unless there's a very strong moon out.
Yeah, but it doesn't do the current
can
time.
sundials work
It'll
with
just
the
do
moon?
It'll just give you a fucked up time if you
It's going to give
follow
you a
the
false
moonlight.
positive.
It's not a
No,
fucking moon
it's
dial.
not.
It's a sundial. You got to look at the moon. Okay, now draw me a moon dial.
You're getting your sun information secondhand with a moon dial.
That's why you need a whole different device.
Yeah.
It's freaky and it's spooky. It will make your diaper poopy. It's all the rage on Graveyard Row. It's another bloodcast though. Ha 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 ha.
Welcome to episode 7 of It's Another Podcast, though. I'm Joe.
And I'm Mike.
Come, join us. Let us pleasure you.
So, yeah,
what are we talking about?
our topic today is it's a spooky one. It's the Satanic Panic. And, well, we're going to be, it's spooky.
Yeah.
We're going to be focusing on mostly of like the whole 80s phenomenon. But, it really spans more than just that decade. Really hit its peak though.
Into the early 90s, right?
No, it hit its it hit its peak in the 80s, but it never really went away. It's still with us today.
True.
I mean, you can argue that...
Yeah, it's really, like we're talking about QAnon, right? Like, it's evolved.
Yeah, I figured we would talk about that
they,
after the whole, like, timeline that we're going to discuss here. We'll talk about, like, how it's still with us today. So just, keep that one in your pants, Joe. All right? Can you hear me?
Will do.
Do you hear what I'm telling you? Do you hear what I'm fucking telling you right now?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you can argue that the Satanic Panic...
I understand.
Sweet. You can argue that the Satanic Panic started in 1692 with the Salem witch trials, and it's been with us ever since. I mean, of course, back then it was all about...
Yeah, it was pretty panicky.
Yeah, it was just about blaming single or widowed mothers to, blame them, accuse them of being a witch, and then you can buy their land at bargain basement discounts or some other stupid reason like that. It was usually monetary in motivation. But I mean, it really started, the Satanic Panic era really started in the summer of 69. That's 1969. The whole Manson family murders.
We're talking about the Bryan Adams song. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
Pretty horrific.
Yeah. That was a big cultural phenomenon at the time. The same year, Anton LaVey published the Satanic Bible. I think the Church of Satan was established a few years before. I mean,
the cat just sneezed.
Your cat? That was your cat? It was scoffing. Your cat was scoffing. Uh-oh. So, folks, we're experiencing some technical difficulties. Apparently, Joe's cat turned off his computer because we are talking about Satanism. Welcome back. Those pesky cats, agents of Satan.
There's a very accessible power button on the top of the PC tower that she loves to step on.
She's like, nope, you're done. This podcast is over.
Not on my watch, motherfucker.
All right. So where were we? Oh, yeah, Church of Satan.
Anton LaVey.
Anton LaVey. He was a character. Basically, all the Satanic Bible was like libertarian, like H.L. Mencken and Ayn Rand philosophical drivel combined with like knives and candles and ritual.
Yeah. It's some kind of hedonistic kind of tenets.
Yeah, it was it was all about all that self-actualization, and you're not really worshiping Satan, you're worshiping yourself. That kind of thing. Kind of, it's kind of...
Sounds a little selfish.
Oh, yeah.
Or self-indulgent.
Kind of dorky too. I mean, I've never read it. I've read parts of it, and what I've read was just something an edgy dork would say. Anyway, in 1972, this dude Mike Warnke, he published a memoir confessional called The Satan Seller. And he's a
door-to-door Satan salesman.
Well, he's a reformed, born again Christian evangelist type, and basically, he said in his book, in his childhood and whatnot, he became a high priest in the satanic cult, and lots of ritual sex orgies and stuff like that.
Kinky.
Yep. And during the 70s, a lot of different, I don't know if you want to call them authors.
Oh.
As much, but a lot of these guys, John Todd, Herschel Smith, David Hansen, Mike Warnke, they all started publishing these things, and they're all from Southern California. What the fuck's up with Southern California and being like a
bunch of weirdos,
satanic fucking cultural mecca, I guess.
It's the weather.
Yeah, it's the weather. Sunny, warm all the time. It's kind of like hell, I guess. But anyway, yeah, they all started making these fucking claims. One of them, John Todd, kind of hooked up with pretty famous guy, Jack Chick.
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him?
Nope.
He's the guy that made these little comic book tracts espousing the evils of Satan worship, and kind of blew the lid off of like all the different satanic rituals that got kids into worshiping Satan. You've never heard of Chick tracts?
No. I've probably seen them though.
That's weird.
Sorry.
I thought those were more famous. I figured you would know what these are. It was always a treat
to disappoint.
It was always a treat to find them out in the wild.
I've probably definitely seen those though.
Yeah, they're like little fucking
little pamphlet things.
Like little half booklets, comic books, and they exposed Satanism in all its many forms.
Were they just kind of making shit up?
Well, yeah, I mean, we'll get to that.
Okay.
And also during this time, there's a lot of high profile serial killings going on. All over the place. There's, Ted Bundy, fucking Zodiac Killer, Hillside Stranglers, David Berkowitz, John Wayne Gacy. You know, there's just like all of these, and this is where
a real golden age of serial killing.
Yeah, yeah, but it,
or were we just like beginning to like notice them?
I think this is where the whole Satanic Panic kind of started kicking off, is because, well, the media realized they could sell papers like with these sensationalized things, and and like at the same time, the the serial killer wasn't a common word in most households' lexicon at the time.
Yeah.
It was just starting to come in. And especially like the Zodiac Killer and David Berkowitz, they would write to the press, and they would, taunting the police and taunting the press. And yeah, I mean, this is where it started to come in, just like this weird media sensationalized, this is where it started the race for the best headlines started to, instead of just reporting the news, it became like, who has the best headline.
I just watched the Richard Jewell movie yesterday.
Oh yeah. Oh, I mean, that was like the fucking 90s were just terrible for it.
Yeah.
For that kind of, yeah. It was a great movie, by the way. I liked it.
Yeah.
The
well
dude that played Richard Jewell, fucking, he nailed it. Knocked it out of the park. So yeah, at the end we're creeping towards the 80s. But
here it comes.
Before we get out of the 70s, there's a little game came out called Dungeons and Dragons.
No shit.
And I have a video here. I want to play some excerpts from. Just listen along.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Especially when I play the intro to it, because it's what we're talking about. This is from the New York Times. It's a great video. It's on YouTube. It's called Dungeons and Dragons Satanic Panic. Here we go.
It began as a cult phenomenon, then it caught on. Now a new game is sweeping the country.
You will burn forever and ever in eternal torment. You are no more.
The role-playing game Dungeons & Dragons debuted in 1974. It became a hit with many adolescents, but critics claimed it was an invitation to devil worship.
The witchcraft, the demonism, the spells.
And worse.
It is not fun and games.
The media set off a satanic panic.
A lot of adults who think it's been connected to a number of suicides and murders.
That connection has been largely debunked.
It's nothing but a witch hunt.
And the game has generated an unexpected legacy.
This was a revolution.
So yeah, it kind of spoils the plot there, being debunked and all. And I forgot to share the screen. I'll share it.
It's okay.
I'll share it again. There we go. But yeah, it talks about, I really want to talk about this first guy, because he's like the most famous, quote unquote victim of the whole satanic aspects of Dungeons and Dragons. So yeah, I'm gonna just play this through.
Gary Gygax?
No, he's the guy that made it. He's the devil. But no, it's this guy, fucking Egbert McNerdman.
You gotta move, Gadget. She's right in front of the screen. You're killing me, cat.
Make sure she's making sure you're not, you're
Not that way. Fuck.
making sure you're towing the company line there. Don't be exposing anything that the great fucking Lord doesn't want you to. But yeah, no, I'm gonna try to edit this, but I just want to get this guy's story in there.
Okay.
And we'll talk. And it's kind of like the most famous example of this.
Cool.
On a summer day in August 1979, the family of a missing teenager called a Texas investigator named William Deere with some startling information.
Dallas Egbert had disappeared from Michigan State University during the summer session.
James Dallas Egbert III was a 16-year-old sophomore, and his family hired Deere to help find him.
He was a computer nerd, and he had a large amount of hair and carried his little briefcase. I wasn't sure that I was being told exactly what precipitated his disappearance, so I said, well, I guess the best thing we can do is I'll go to Michigan State University and I'll find out for myself exactly what was going on.
What he found when he went to Egbert's dorm room was a shelf of neatly stacked books and something else.
There was a cork board with a series of tacks.
In what might look like a random pattern of thumbtacks, the investigator saw what he thought could be a clue. The shape resembled a building that was part of a network of underground campus steam tunnels, which students told him they sometimes explored.
We set out with maps, and we started going into the tunnels one morning with press everywhere. I entered with the idea that I did not know what I was getting into.
But he had a hunch that it had something to do with a game that was growing in popularity.
This is a quest in a fantasy world of castles and dungeons, monsters and dragons. This world has become real to these people. It's all part of a game called Dungeons and Dragons.
So yeah, that's basically this is what kind of kicked off the old Satanic Panic about Dungeons and Dragons. Is this fucking computer nerd disappeared?
Was this kid the basis for the Tom Hanks Mazes and Monsters?
I'm not sure, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Movie.
But I mean, long story short, it apparently he kind of wandered off and committed suicide, not because of the game, but just because of how his life was going. Kid. Yeah. But a lot of press was generated over Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, yeah. So you know how they say, like, capitalism is the root of all evil?
I've heard that.
Yeah, so here we go. New decade, 1980. New year, new president. Just new way of doing things. It's the fucking 80s, right? Yeah. So yeah, we're getting into the Reagan era, and thanks to all the unfettered capitalism going on, erosion of organized labor. I mean, this is biased, obviously, but many households had to rely on both the mom and the dad going out getting a job, and there was no time to take care of the kids. So yeah, had to put them in daycare. There's fucking Tylenol dude. Forget where that was. I think it was in Chicago.
Yeah,
it was,
I think Chicago.
Poisoning fucking Tylenol in grocery stores. Lots of trick or treat, fucking people throwing poison in the candy and razor blades in the apples and all that.
Did they ever actually find anything like that, or was it just like scare stuff?
There was one guy that did it. His name was Ronald Clark O'Brien.
What a piece of shit.
He actually poisoned candy, yeah. But that was the only known documented, Halloween candy killer. And,
they never found the Tylenol guy, right? Or girl. I don't know.
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, I don't think that was ever solved.
Yeah, I don't think it was ever found out. And also during this time, Christian fundamentalism was becoming a big thing. Lots of evangelical fucking people making money hands over fists off of fearful rubes. And these guys, these evangelicals, like, loved, Mike Warnke and the other guys that made these memoirs about being in, like, rituals, satanic rituals, and coming to the light and all that. And
oh, yeah.
It was great ratings for them.
Yeah, ate that shit up.
But yeah, again, also at this time, the media fucking loved it. Loved it. I think the highest rated television documentary was Devil Worship, Exposing Satan's Underground. You want to guess who the
it's juicy stuff.
Investigative journalist was?
Geraldo Rivera.
It was Geraldo Rivera.
I don't think that's true.
No, it was Geraldo Rivera. You're exactly right.
Was it?
It was, yeah. It was the highest rated TV show in 1988. Yeah, I guess
which is funny because that's
that was after Al Capone's vaults.
I thought it. Oh man, what a!
Do you remember Al Capone's vaults?
That was strike on his record on that one.
That was a huge nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
funny though.
So yeah, 80s had a lot more of these memoirs coming out. One, Michelle Remembers. It detailed her childhood, being a victim of all these occult rituals, sexual abuse, and all this fucking other nasty stuff.
Well, this is around the same time that like false memory syndrome started.
Oh yeah, no, we're gonna get into that shortly.
Sounds cool.
Yeah. Then we get into thanks to Reagan, had to put all our kids in daycare. We start getting into the all these daycare ritual sex abuse allegations against daycares across the country. I mean, it started out in, well, of course, Southern California.
Yeah, it was like one big one, right? Oh, of course.
There's a few. There was like Kern County. That was in 1980. Like social workers had just read this Michelle Remembers book. And so they started to include that into their training.
Oh, okay.
And so they'd get these, I guess two girls allege that they were abused in like weird satanic ritual abuse at this daycare, but it turns out they were just like coached by their grandparent, who was like weird fundamentalist Christian with a history of mental illness.
Yikes.
Yeah. My favorite one is the McMartin case.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
That was that was in Manhattan Beach, California. And basically the police were getting these calls about ritual abuse. And so they decided to conduct an investigation, which included like 400 children that went to this daycare. And
that's a huge daycare.
Yeah, the examinations were run by a woman named Key McFarlane. And well, she's an interesting lady. She had no psychological or medical training. Her highest academic credential was a welding certificate.
Okay, yeah. So that naturally bleeds over to,
but yeah, so she
child psychology and investigating.
Of course it does.
Children.
Of course it does.
Everybody knows that.
So she brought on a couple of her friends who were also unlicensed psychotherapists, and they're the ones that use the anatomically correct dolls, and they weren't examining these children, they were interrogating these children. They were coercively making these children, confess to false memories, basically.
Which is not hard to do with children.
Not at all. And basically what they got out of this was, out of the 400 children, 359 of them were abused in this manner, in this ritual sex abuse.
Out of the 41 that weren't, I wonder how they, I don't know, were they just like, lady, you're full of shit?
I don't know.
Okay, well, you're not one of them. Get out of here.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know how I would, like, I'm a fucking, 6-year-old. This lady's telling me this shit happened. Am I gonna believe her or not? It's like, but yeah, it kind of fucked up.
Kids are taught to, respect and follow the lead of adults. So yeah.
I mean, I would like to think that I would be one of those 41 children that said, "Lady, you're full of shit." But who knows,
Yeah.
Kids you shouldn't fuck with kids like that.
Yeah, you have to be real careful in questioning kids.
Yeah.
Shit like this happens.
Yeah, the kids were making claims that they would flush them down toilets into like these secret underground tunnels they built to transport them to these ritual sites. And usually they had a newborn baby that they would sacrifice at each of these rituals. But yeah,
and that's what they were looking for, right? That's the answer that the investigators wanted. So they just, okay, sure.
Yeah, they went with them, yeah. But apparently this lady like pushed too far, and after Yeah, after what is it, like 5 or 6 years? Just like they kept getting all of this like more and more just fucking ridiculous claims. Like,
and there was probably like a very conservative law and order kind of prosecutor, like DA, right? Like there's got to be one of those.
No,
guys.
they kind of just all these cases just ended up just look. There's no actual evidence that's gone on, and
I thought there was like a whole trial with the McMartin.
There was lots of trials. Yeah, I don't think the McMartin case ever went to trial, but it was very, very sensationalized. Yeah, it was actually someone burnt it to the ground. The preschool.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was lots of trials. I'm not gonna go into all the trials just because they're all the same.
Yeah.
Basically, it's wild claims made by kids that were interrogated under questionable circumstances. And this is what really fucks me up about all of this is like not that there is like organized rings of pedophiliacs out there.
Yeah. Because that absolutely exists.
Or pedophile. I don't know if pedophiliac is the right word. Pedophile.
I knew what you meant.
There's organized rings of pedophiles out there. Not satanic in origin, but the most, notorious has been the Catholic Church,
Yeah.
Or rich people, Jeffrey Epstein, I totally believe that there's definitely organized child sex trafficking rings out there. But I don't know if it has anything to do with.
There's probably someone or a few people who consider themselves Satanists who are also pedophiles.
Sure.
But I don't know that it's like a, like an epidemic type of thing. Not like with the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
Which is very well documented.
Very well documented, yeah. But there is, and this is how the police like kind of responded to this. I got this memo that someone tweeted from the Chicago Police Department from 1989. And it's called Identification, Investigation, and Understanding of Ritualistic Criminal Activity. Published.
Okay.
I don't know if it's published, but it looks like it's like a document that was printed out. This says characteristics of teen involved. This is how you know your fucking idiot kid is involved in Satanism. These are the characteristics. All right?
A lot of dice.
These are the characteristics. Youth subculture. That's a characteristic, apparently.
Wow. Okay.
Experimentalist. Fantasy roleplay. Male/female. Intelligent. Underachiever. Middle/upper class family. Creative. Curiosity beyond norm. So your kid is really interested in something. That's how you know. Devil's got a hold of him.
Jesus.
Not. Well, it says property, but I'm gonna assume it's supposed to mean not properly counseled after death of loved one. That makes sense. That's
I guess so.
That'll like death in the family fucks anyone up. I don't know what properly counseled means, but yeah.
Yeah, how do you know when someone's properly counseled?
You know your kid's a Satanist if they have a fundamentalist religious family. That's a characteristic. Low self-esteem. Difficulty relating to peers. Bored. I'm bored. I'm going to go hail the Dark Lord today.
Got nothing better to do.
Alienated from family and religion. Use of rituals. It doesn't really define what rituals are.
Like a communion, like drinking the blood of Christ.
Well, or even like just any like day-to-day rituals like OCD, you gotta like fucking
brushing your teeth,
you gotta do it certain number of times. You tap 3 times on the sink before you rinse and all that shit.
Yeah. Making sure the doors are locked multiple times.
Mm-hmm. Rituals. Rebellion against society. Fuck, I'm a Satanist.
I think every teenager ever, according to this handout, is a Satanist.
Yeah. Skinhead / punkers. And the final one is loner. No close associates. Then it goes on.
How are they going to join a cult if they're loners? Like, my loner son has joined the vast group of Satanists. He doesn't know anybody, but he's joined this group.
Well, that
makes sense.
All right. Well, I mean, this is how it leads into involvement. All right. You got your loner. He's number one lead into involvement is curiosity instead of boredom. Yeah, piques interest within groups. So yeah, your loner fucking loser kid is looking for groups of like-minded individuals. And the second one is they're lured into free sex and or drug parties.
Oh man.
You remember those when we were growing up? All those free sex and drug parties? Those were awesome.
No, I had to pay for mine.
Heavy metal. Heavy metal was a big influence. It produced aggressive behavior, abuse of drugs and alcohol, graphic violence, graphic and explicit sex, sadistic and masochistic violence, and top it all off, suicide. Yeah, the next part of this outline is awesome. Symptoms of increased involvement. Padlock on bedroom door. Writings revealing problems. If someone wrote Natus lived, that's Satan devil backwards. Or if they wrote wasp, it doesn't mean white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. It means we are Satan's people. suicidal thoughts or writings, pictures depicting hanging and mutilation. I don't know why hanging is specified there. Books. If they have these books,
just playing hangman.
If they have these books, these 3 books in particular, Man's Myth and Magic, the Book of Ceremonial Magic and Witchcraft, and the Satanic Bible or Satanic Rituals. Tarot cards, candles, ceremonial knives, a letter opener will suffice. Oils, skull/bones, black walls, altar, use of alphabets, more advanced stages. And number 14, Book of Shadows. It's a diary of blank pages.
Book of Shadows?
It's a diary of blank pages, spiral notebook, may use computer with access codes. That just sounds like every fucking edgy dork I ever knew growing up in school.
Yeah.
And they weren't very evil or... I mean, they thought they were, but they were just fucking dorks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, there's no evidence of any of these satanic cults ever. But it keeps going. To this day, we still have these fucking wild claims, such as fucking, what was it, Pizzagate?
Yeah, what's that place called? Rocket Pizza?
Yeah, apparently in the basement, they would kidnap children and like harvest their adrenochrome to give to high-profile politicians in the area.
It's pretty fucking wacky.
Apparently it doesn't have a basement.
No.
Some guy went in there with a fucking rifle and demanded to see the basement. It was like a scene out of Pee-wee's Big Adventure. You brought it up earlier. You want to talk about QAnon?
Not really.
But yeah, it's the same thing, man. It's like,
I think QAnon's a lot more sophisticated than the Satanic Panic, but it's essentially the same thing, just kind of evolved to include, the internet.
Well, as far as I know, like the big thing with QAnon is there is a worldwide liberal conspiracy to traffic children for many, many devious purposes. And they're all in on it, and Donald Trump is on the case. He's been investigating it for years, and one of these days he's gonna crack it wide open and expose all the evil liberals. This is what I take from it. I don't know if this is actually true or not, but he's gonna be the hero of the ages because he exposed this vast network of just horrible people.
Man, it's always it's all projection. these people. I'm not saying that people who subscribe to the QAnon theories are pedophiles themselves, but I mean, Trump's been linked to definitely to Jeffrey Epstein. There's a lawsuit.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I don't think it's a partisan line as far as like Republican Democrat. I think it's more of a class line where the richer you are, the more you can get away with, that the more likely it is you participate in these pedophile networks. I totally believe they exist. I don't think that it has anything to do with Satan, though.
Yeah, I don't either.
And I don't think it's a political divide either. I think it's a...
Although, I mean, I definitely think that the QAnon thing has been used to demonize liberal politicians. But there's a lot of demonizing, so...
And
you can take your pick.
Yeah, both Bill Clinton and Donald Trump have been on Epstein's Island. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if Bill Clinton took part in that shit, fucking get him too.
There's evil out there. I'm just not sure it wears the mask of the devil.